What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of IT Made Easy, where we take you from zero to proficient in information technology focused on a help desk position. I'm still your host, Ben the Machine Lewis, coming to you from Easy Micro Solutions in Pennsylvania. In this video, we're going to talk about being an IT professional. The first thing I want to tell you is practice makes proficient. School doesn't give you the real-world experience that you need to be good at an IT position. I came out of school with an associate degree, a 3.9 GPA, and 3 separate computer certifications. I started an entry-level position here at Easy Micro Solutions and quickly realized that I was pretty much worthless. There was nothing of value that I could offer my coworkers who had been working professionally in this industry for 2 or more years. I decided to just become a sponge and absorb as much information as I could. I took good notes and was eventually able to contribute ideas to the team. Surprisingly, even Microsoft doesn't always have a good grasp on how things work in the small or medium-sized business world, and sometimes even their view of the corporate world isn't accurate. Ultimately, a company will have its own standards and practices to follow, but I decided to create this video series to give you the basics of what's out there. Another good motto is consistency increases efficiency. It's not about memorizing every possible solution. It's about how quickly you can find the solution either online or in your own personal documentation. If you run into a problem more than once, create your own notes. Web page articles are full of extra information, not to mention annoying or distracting ads, but if you create a simple text file with a sentence or two, you will be able to apply the fix much faster if the problem appears on another computer later on. Also, websites can change and a page may get taken down that explains something very clearly and simply. I've taken so many notes over the years that I use a search utility called Everything that instantly brings up all my files even as I'm typing the search terms. In IT, there are fortunately more problems than there are solutions. At first, that sounds like a bad thing, but here's an example. Rebooting a computer can fix all kinds of problems with just that one step. Uninstalling and reinstalling software is another example. The next tip is to familiarize yourself with all the places software settings can be stored. Knowing where software stores its settings is great for troubleshooting and configuring applications. There are a few places settings could be, depending on whether every user is required to configure the software or if only the first person has to set it up. Once you know everywhere settings could be stored, you'll be able to fix software that you've never even heard of. If software has user-specific settings, they could be located in one or more of the following locations. The registry. HKey current user /software is a common place to find the manufacturer's name, such as Microsoft or Adobe. Next up, the App Data Local and App Data Roaming folders. App Data is a hidden folder, so you'll need to browse there directly or type %local app data % for the App Data Local folder or %app data % for App Data Roaming in any Windows Explorer address bar to view the contents. You'll either see the manufacturer or application's name. The Documents folder is another possible settings location. A lot of software creates a folder in your default Documents location which could contain data and/or custom settings such as an INI file which could be opened using Notepad. You could also run into software with a cloud-connected account. Software that requires an internet connection could store your custom settings in an online account, which often automates the process of setting up the application on a new computer. Even if there are settings that get cached locally, the cloud settings would most likely overwrite them next time it checks in with the server. Sometimes software settings will become corrupted to the point where your only option is to create a fresh Windows profile like we mentioned in our first video. I realized recently that I didn't explain how to do that. You have to open the registry and navigate to HKey local machine /software, Microsoft, Windows NT, current version, profile list. Expand that key and you will see a bunch of subkeys that start with S15. Click on each one until you see the profile image path that matches the username in question. Export the key as a backup and then delete it from the registry. You can also rename the profile folder in C:\users to avoid confusion during the rebuild process. Otherwise, Windows will add the domain name or a set of numbers to the folder name of the fresh profile. If Windows prevents you from renaming the folder, you'll have to reboot the computer first and then log in as a different user to do the rename. Another topic I probably could have brought up earlier is Google Chrome, as it's the most popular web browser out there. Most people have a Gmail account these days, and I highly recommend enabling the sync feature. This has the ability to store all of your bookmarks and passwords in your Google account. If you choose to store passwords in your account, turning on two-factor authentication is advisable. Two-factor authentication, or 2FA, makes it impossible to log into your account using only your password. It would also require the use of a one-time code that Google sends to your cell phone, for example. The reason I recommend Google Chrome's sync feature is primarily due to passwords. It is not usually possible to pull Chrome passwords off of a faulty hard drive if the computer won't boot into Windows. There is a password export feature inside Chrome, but it will only work from the original account that stored them. Otherwise, you can only restore bookmarks and history from a hard drive. To do so, copy all loose files from %localappdata%\google/chrome/userdata/default and copy them to a new computer once you have launched Chrome on that new machine at least one time to build the appropriate folders. It's also possible to redirect Chrome data, including passwords, to a network location using group policy, but you will have to download a custom ADMX template first. One other thing worth noting is the frequently exploited feature of notifications. A lot of websites will pop up a little box that asks you if you want to allow notifications for that particular website. You should always click block, as clicking allow will overload your screen with ads from that site even when you're not on that page. You should also be cautious of what Chrome extensions you're installing, as not all of them are trustworthy and also have the ability to spam your computer. One more cool trick with Chrome or literally any web browser is adding a URL to the end of the exe path in the Shortcut Properties window. This will bypass homepage settings and go directly to the address specified. It's helpful if a user has some URLs on their desktop that they need to open with a specific web browser that isn't their default. I also wanted to share another trick I learned recently that would have been included in episode 2 in regard to accessing server data from a non-domain computer. If it's not easy to make a home computer's username and password the same as an Active Directory account, such as when a Microsoft account is used, you can store domain credentials in Credential Manager. Open it up from Control Panel and click on Windows Credentials and then Add Windows Credential. Enter the server name.domain name followed by the user's Active Directory credentials and click OK. When they try to browse to the UNC path of the server, those credentials will be used and it should open right away. Moving on to software settings that are computer specific, which means they would be configured by the first user and then wouldn't need to be touched by any subsequent users. That kind of setting could be found in the following places. The registry, but this time in HKey local machine /software. Here again, you would look for the software or manufacturer name in the list. Another spot would be the Program Files or Program Files x86 folder. There might be an INI file with configuration data in the same directory that the program is actually installed. We also have the Program Data folder. This is a hidden directory on the root of C, so you either need to type in C:\program data manually in a Windows Explorer address bar or unhide hidden files from folder options. Lastly, computer-wide settings could be in C:\users\public. Data and/or settings are sometimes stored in the public profile folder, as it is accessible from every account on the computer. Now I'd like to spend a little bit more time on IT efficiency. If you want to stand out in this industry, you need to work efficiently on your PC and on any client machine. Get to know the built-in hotkeys and shortcuts. It will save you a ton of time using your keyboard to issue quick commands instead of finding them on the computer using the mouse in Windows Explorer. Examples of hotkeys are Control-A to select all, Control-C to copy, Control-X to cut, Control-V to paste, and Windows-R to open the run box. Also, holding down the Windows key and pressing the left or right arrow will automatically take the active window and move it off to either side of the monitor, making it half the size. Holding down the Windows key and pressing the up or down arrow will toggle the window between full screen, smaller, or minimized. Examples of shortcuts are appwiz.cpl to open programs and features, ncpa.cpl to open network connections, and compmgmt.msc to open computer management. You should also get more familiar with navigational shortcuts like the app data ones we mentioned earlier, as well as %user_profile%, which takes you to the current user's profile folder, and %temp%, which takes you directly to the current user's temp folder. Windows 10 also has a built-in Clipboard Manager that is super helpful when you need to copy and paste multiple items in a row. To turn it on and then use it, hold down the Windows key and press the letter V. It's easy to remember because pasting the contents of your clipboard is Control-V. If you're a slow typer, Windows 10 also has a built-in talk-to-text function. Hold down the Windows key and press the letter H to get started. If you really want to increase your efficiency, download and install a free application called AutoHotkey. This allows you to create your own custom keyboard shortcuts and hotkeys. You can issue commands to a computer in less than a second. You can call up information or browse to specific folders instantly. You can automate repetitive tasks for you and for your end users. If you find yourself doing or typing the same things over and over, AutoHotkey is a game changer. It's also great if you're not a fast typer. Converting abbreviations into full words and phrases will allow you to take notes faster, and no one will have to learn what your shorthand means. Helpdesk is very repetitious, and auto hotkey can be used to automate notes and actions for recurring tasks. You can program one hotkey to instantly type a whole paragraph or click specific areas of the screen at desired intervals. One of my favorite things to do with auto hotkey is to automatically dial a phone number using one keystroke. Most phone systems are digital nowadays, and they allow you to dial a phone number using software. I programmed auto hotkey to put a phone number on the clipboard, paste it into the correct field in my phone software, and hit enter. All I have to do is put on my headset. Allow me to demonstrate. I would also make a case for the ability to be ambidextrous with a mouse. If you support users in person, you will be visiting a lot of desks and need to be comfortable with both setups, as it might not be easy to move their mouse to the other side. Personally, I have my mouse on the right at home and on the left at my office to stay sharp with both positions. I also use a lot of hotkeys containing the Enter, Delete, End, Insert, and Home keys at my office, so I find it advantageous to keep my right hand on that side of the keyboard at all times. Your IT job might require you to go on site frequently, and sometimes you'll be tasked with physically replacing a PC. I've seen desks with lots of knickknacks and decorations that I had to temporarily disturb when installing their new computer. As a courtesy, I took a picture of what their desk looked like before I touched anything to make sure I put everything back in the same spot. You could also run into people with lots of desktop icons in very specific places. Fortunately, there's great free software called Desktop Restore that allows a user to quickly recall desktop icon positions. If you're migrating a computer and want to avoid putting everything back manually, install this software on the old computer first and then on the new computer as well. I will say that all of the same icons need to be present on the new computer, and the screen resolution has to match exactly for it to work properly after a migration. Even then, it's best to have a screenshot of what it looked like before, just in case. Hit the print screen button and launch Microsoft Paint to save it as a picture somewhere. Another courtesy would be saving someone's desktop background as a theme, copy it to their new computer, and then simply double-click on it. If you do have to meet face-to-face with a customer, make sure you're wearing at least business casual attire, make sure you've showered recently, your hair is not a mess, and don't overdo it with the cologne or perfume. Guys, make sure you have time to shave, and ladies, you know how to present yourselves. It's us guys who need the occasional reminder. Also, if you have any visible tattoos, some companies might ask you to cover them, while others don't really care. The bottom line is, if you look your best, you'll feel your best, and if you feel your best, you'll perform your best. Now, when people talk about doctors, they might say he or she is very good, but their bedside manner needs some work, which basically means they're smart, but they're not a very nice person to be around. In this field, I like to call it your desk side manner. It's definitely helpful if you're a people person, because if you're in help desk, you will talk to a lot of people every day, and everyone wants to hear a friendly voice on the other end. If you're not a people person, fake it, I guess, if you have to. Just make sure it doesn't sound like you're faking it, because most people can hear the difference. Honestly, if you don't like talking to people, help desk probably isn't for you. There are other jobs in this field that don't involve as much personal interaction, and help desk can be used as a stepping stone if that's ultimately where you want to be. Personally, I've been in help desk over 13 years, and I've never wanted to advance to a different position because I love being everyone's hero. Some people even give help desk more respect than a server migration engineer because of their perspective. They might think, oh, Ben's here to fix our stuff, versus, oh great, Clint's here to break everything. Now obviously Clint is not really going to break anything, but migrations create change, and most people don't like change. I take it upon myself to make the necessary changes as familiar and painless as possible, because at the end of the day, we're not in business to fix computers, we're in business to help people. That's all we're going to cover in this video. Hopefully it was helpful to you. Be sure to check out our other videos and leave a comment letting us know what topic you'd like to see covered in a future video. Thanks for watching.